Can you explain how you work with these people? Obviously, you work with them differently, but, can you explain?
Right, and really it's based on the needs of the child.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when we start working with these support people, they come in and they watch the child in the environment. And then they talk with you on ways how you can support that child in the room. And then we meet outside of the classroom and talk about, here's things that you can do with this child. Here's things that will benefit all the children in the class. So that's mostly what we do, but the time is so hard. And a lot of times it's just a split second when they're at their door ready to pick up the child and they're like, oh, here's something you can try. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, I wish I had time to sit down with you and talk, mm-hmm. but they're busy, they're getting children and we're working with our children, so that's really hard.
It sounds like then they provide services outside of the classroom.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, depending on the child and depending on the support person. I know with our speech pathologist, she was able to come into our classroom and do a group lesson weekly. So that was nice. Not only, she did take children outside of the classroom and she worked with them, but she also came into the classroom. So the rest of the kids were familiar with her, and I think it just really helped that child.
What do you do to make sure that they don't miss an instruction? Like, what happens when they come back?
Usually it's with the planning. At the beginning of the year, they'll ask, is this a good time to take the child? Mm-hmm. And
the schedule will get juggled around a few times.
Right.
And sometimes there's just no way around it.
Right.
Like, I have 3 that go to occupational therapy for fine motor skills. They go once a week during our writing time. But I don't consider that missing instruction mm-hmm. because the skills they're working on during their OT will improve their writing.
Okay.
So to me, it's worth giving up the 20 minutes that they're going to be gone once a week for writing because it's going to benefit them in writing. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it's still kind of part of it. The same thing sometimes with speech. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's going to benefit them mm-hmm. overall. So if they need to go, she tries to come in if it's a suitable situation. But if she has to take them out, they're working on skills that they're going to need anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they're not in our building every day. Mm. So OT's only in our building I think once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you can be stingy with your time, but you really can't because they're going to other buildings in the district. Mm-hmm. You have to work with their schedule too. So.
How do you keep track of who goes where, when, what time,
She comes and gets mine.
Right,
mine too.
Okay. So. Have you learned things from these special education people?
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially OT, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
OT has been one of the biggest ones that I've...
Like what kinds of things?
Just little things like tools you can use and like to build their hand strength, special scissors, stringing beads, putty, like all these different... I know we have an OT, and if you ask her, she'll put together a little bag of manipulatives and tools they can use. So you don't have to go out and get all of these things. Like I know she's been really helpful.
Yeah, she has been.
If you email her, I have one child who needs a special chair. We've, worked on getting him a special chair. I made a few suggestions and we met, and just little things like that that I think as a general education teacher, you may not even know where to go online to order stuff like that. They can usually get it for us.
Okay.
So that's nice.
Yeah, I think that's helpful.
So how did you know they needed a special chair? Child.
He has no core strength, so he curls up in a ball. And you can see right away, but it's also in his PT goals. Mm-hmm. And it's also an accommodation written into his IEP.
Okay. What are the roles of the 4 teachers in your classroom?
With our program or the collaboration, there is a lead Head Start teacher and their assistant, and then a lead county teacher and their assistant. So there are 4 teachers in the classroom. And then we also have, through the county, specialists that come in and work with children who have an identified IEP or a delay.
So is the county teacher the special education teacher?
Yes. She
Okay.
is, but then because of the IEP, there are certain speech language pathologist or physical therapist or occupational therapist who would come in and work with certain children. As a result of that collaboration, I've learned tips, techniques on how to help advance and help typical children evolve. I use the word typical because no one's actually just a normal child. Everyone has their own quirks and needs, and my job and our job in the collaboration is to make sure that everyone is being educated and brought to the next level, because it's never just one point where you get to say, okay, well, they know this and so we're done. No, you learn and you realize they're all going to kindergarten, so they all need to get to this certain place, and we need to teach them as much as we can with the time that we have with them. Head Start serves 3 years old to 5 years old, and the county is 3 to 6. So in any given classroom, we could have a child who's as young as 3 and as old as 6.
And then how many children in your classroom would be designated as having some kind of special rights?
Six of the children would have an IEP. We'd have 2 children from the community, and those are called peers. And the children with Head Start are children with a low socioeconomic status. So they're single families or working poor, or their parents are going to school trying to better themselves, and they just don't have the economic means to send them to a different school.
So the total number?
18 children in our classroom. Okay, for a typical day would be the Head Start children come in early in the morning, and we would have breakfast. So it's a chance for us to have a family-style meal, because not knowing, well, we know a lot of our families are poor, and they may not have the means to provide breakfast, lunch, and snack. So we come in, have a family-style breakfast. Everyone sits down, just talks about what they did last night. It's a good way to teach the children how to have a conversation, to introduce new words, to get them to try new foods. Shortly after, the county children will arrive, and everyone just mingles. Like, it's just, everyone's so happy to see each other, and everyone gets a chance to play and interact. About 9 o'clock or so, we come together, and what we have is a group and just kind of plan out our day. We have adaptive physical education, art, music, centers in the classroom where we focus on math activities and language activities and literacy, and which is especially important because we have children, a lot of the children with Head Start in our particular center all speak a second language, so it's not even their primary language. So we're teaching children a second language. We're teaching children who have possibly identified language delay. And so it's about taking all of these children and taking one activity and making it work for every single child.
And how do you do that?
A lot of note-taking, a lot of reflection, talking to the other teachers and saying, this is what I've noticed. Have you seen this? What do you think we should do now? It's a lot, and then respecting each other's opinions, because I may think that the child's doing wonderfully and that I don't see the issue that another teacher's seeing, but all of a sudden, well, they're not doing that correctly, or I just have a little question about that. So then we sit and come together and say, okay, well, what do we do next? Because this is what I want to do, so how do we make it work? We all sit together once a week and create the lesson plan for the week. So again, because our curriculum is project-based, so whatever, it is child-driven. So if the children are interested in monsters or balls or making cakes, that is where we go. We go with their idea, and we figure out a way to make that work for them. But no, everyone has a piece of input, because personally, I prefer to do language and language activities, and my assistant is really good at math, or the lead county teacher is really good with science activities. So we all learn how to piece together what it is that we want to do, and then celebrate everyone's individual ideas, because it's not easy, because I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do, and I want to do this, and we're talking about this, and I don't know how to make this work, and they're like, okay, well, we can do this, this, and this. I'm like, you're brilliant, thanks. And so, I'm very fortunate to know that I have a wonderful team that is very supportive, and we all have the same idea. Our thought process is to make them the best child that we can before they go into the school district.
And how do you use the aides or paraprofessionals?
I usually tell them, like, hey, we're working on this. Will you help so-and-so with this? But sometimes my aide's really good about just kind of working with that child on their own. They can give them breaks, which is nice, because, I don't always have that time to give them breaks when they need them, like walking them around, or they take them places they need to go, like adaptive PE. They sit in specials, which is helpful, because, that teacher needs their support too.
So is the aide just with that one child who is special needs? How does that work?
In a perfect world, you have an aide for every child who has, because our students have it written in their IEP that they have a classroom aide. I don't think we have anyone in our building right now who has one-on-one aide, because we don't have the resources as a district to provide every child with a one-on-one aide. I have 5 in my classroom right now who have aide services written into their IEP, and I have one aide. It works out. It's fine. We have a nice system, but it would be fantastic. Like in writing, when you have 3 non-writers and you have 2 people trying, to help them write, it would be nice if each of those children had someone there to work with them. But you just have to kind of find a system and figure out what the aide feels comfortable with, what the children feel comfortable with. And my aide doesn't just work with my students with IEPs either. Sometimes if I'm working with them, she will work with some of my typicals who need support or whatever, especially in math.
Do you find that any of your kids who have special rights are stigmatized in any way?
I think they've been with them for such a long time that, like, I know that my group of kids have been with, a few of mine for a couple years now. So I think they just kind of are used to it, and they kind of understand their quirks, and they understand, they might get to do something a little different because they need that. And, we had kind of a discussion at the beginning of the year of, not everybody's going to need the same thing. This person might need this person might need this. And I feel like they get it. They understand that, not everybody's the same. And that means not everybody needs the same thing.
And even as young as first grade, they get it.
What other things do you feel that you do to just help make that child inclusive in the classroom?
I think it's nice just on a everyday basis to kind of point out every once in a while when someone is doing something that's their strength. And not even your inclusion children or your children with IEPs, but all of them, because then they start to realize, well, all of us are really good at different things, and all of us have things we need to work on. And then they start to see that it's okay that they're not all doing the exact same thing, or they're not all, like you said, we don't all need a break at this time, or we don't all need someone to write for us and then we have to trace, or they just kind of start to accept all of that because they start to realize they all have strengths and weaknesses.
And I know it's helpful too. Like, I include my inclusion kids in everything. Even if we're on the carpet and I know they might not understand what I'm saying,
they're still there.
They're there. They're not at the back of their seat with the aide doing something else. They're at the carpet with everybody else. And I think that gives them a sense that, we are a community. Everybody's doing what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. She just might work on some different work, or she might, take a break at a different time. But
you try to, I know mine kind of follow the same schedule.
Yeah,
Right.
I
I
mine
mean,
too.
they might be doing different things during that time, but when it's writing workshop, they're writing.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, and when
Mine
it's
too.
reading workshop, they're in reading groups, and so it doesn't. Their day's not completely different.
No.
How do you use the IEPs?
We work pretty closely with our intervention specialist, and she's right there with us, talking about what she's working on when she works with the children and things that we should be focusing on. And then we'll share, oh, well, we've noticed they mastered this goal, and she'll update it right away. So that's nice. I think a close relationship with your intervention specialist is key.
Yeah. What do you find are the benefits of these kids, of having kids with special rights in the classroom?
I think it's good for them socially to be among their peers. And I think it's also not just good for them to be included, but I think it's good for the typicals too, just to see that everybody's different and we all learn in different ways. And it kind of teaches them to work together and help each other out a little bit.
And I think it'll be really important for the future. Just, you might have kids that, they might be politicians, and then the other kids are going to be the ones that are there that they're making those decisions for. I don't know. Just thinking about that future funding and things like that. If you were in a classroom with different children that have different needs, and these children need these children have these needs. When you get older, you're more accepting and thinking about
You
everyone
kind of
else.
become an advocate.
Yes, for
I've had some successes with just my typicals who kind of shine because of the inclusion kids that I have, just because they can help them. Then they can help them do their work, or they can help them keep on task, which is good for those kids because sometimes they're not always doing that, or they, just have trouble, they struggle with an area or subject. But when they can show somebody else, how to do it, then I think that really boosts their confidence and makes them feel good. So I think it's awesome that we have all levels in our classrooms.
I mean, I modify everything for them, but again, I work with the intervention specialist, and then that's where the aide can kind of help out because, they can help administer the assessments, whether it's me working with some of the IEP students and they're giving the assessment to the other. It's just a matter of kind of tweaking things to make it work. Like, some of my students are working a grade level or two below in math. So I just designed something totally different for them. I mean, it takes a lot of time. I think that's probably the biggest obstacle to all of it is the time. Because you do have to change things, and you might have to change things 3 ways or 4 ways to meet everyone's needs. But actually giving the assessment isn't really a big deal. It's kind of more the preparing it that takes a lot of extra time. But there's always enough people like the intervention specialist or the aide, or there's always someone.
and most often you're looking at the IEP and following those goals.
Yeah.
Do you find it difficult to incorporate the content standards in with the IEP goals and with the content standards?
No.
Really? Especially with the new Common Core.
Yeah.
I know we've worked on a few IEPs this year, and we've actually gotten out the Common Core for math and looked at the 2nd grade and then looked at where the student was at and tailored their goals. So they're still working towards goals for the Common Core, but they're at their level. So I kind of like the new Common Core. It makes it a little bit easier to goal set for these kids.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
That's good
so
to
it's
hear.
kind of nice.
Yeah, I think most of the goals are like that. I feel like, there's a goal about money, but it's just a little bit simpler than what, the typicals are doing in my 3rd grade class. Maybe it's just like, identifying the coins where my kids are like adding, but still that's what they need, and they're still working with that.
So they're on the same content. It's just,
At a different
levels.
level.
Yeah. You talk about time as a challenge. Any other challenges that you find?
I think it's just staying all on the same page.
Yes.
Because we've talked about, there's so many people that these kids come in contact with, their families, all the people here at school, other kids. And I think it's just, making sure everybody's on the same page. Like, for example, I have a girl that, it was really frustrating to me because I made her write her name in my class, but then when she'd go somewhere else, she didn't have to write her name, and someone else would write it for her. And so that was frustrating because, I'm setting this expectation. It should be like that everywhere, and so it's just contacting all those people to say, hey, this is the expectation I have. I want you to have the same.
What do you think about when you talk about these children are going to go on to kindergarten? What do you are hoping for them, or how are you preparing them?
Well, I go into panic every week, like, are we doing enough? Are we doing enough? And, and then we talk to our parents. Head Start has to do 4 home visits a year, so we get a chance to talk to our families and just see what their thoughts are and how they feel they're doing. And it's not until then that we realize what an impact we're making and how far we're actually moving along. Because once you're in it, you don't see it. So stepping outside and the parents are like, oh my gosh, he came home and he could write his name, or he came home and he's able to do this math project, or he understood that, or he saw this on TV and he said, you guys are doing this. You're just like, oh, they got it. Okay, that's great. Or you realize, one time in the middle of a circle, we saw, our circle is our group time where we're just having conversation or reading a story. We saw a rainbow outside, and they were looking at the rainbow, and we go look at the rainbow, and we're talking about it, and we see the different colors. Okay, well, we grab the prisms and shut the lights off and shine a light, and they're just like, okay, well, how do you do that? And, because we're open to what the children are interested in, no one says, oh, we're not talking about that right now. You say, oh, no, well, the light's doing this, and they're like, oh, okay, and then you stop. So then the kids go home like, so you were talking about how rainbows are made, and you're just like, yeah, because that's what they wanted to know about, or they wanted to know how snow formed. I mean, you just get a chance to say, so many times you hear adults say, not right now, or we're not talking about that, or we're not doing this, and we're in a position, a wonderful position to say, this is what I know, let me share it with you. Or if I don't know, we have a computer, we have books, we have a library. I can show you where to find this. And so hopefully what we're doing is instilling a lifelong love of just knowledge and learning and other people, because we have such a diverse group. We have children who are in wheelchairs, and with autism and with cerebral palsy and Down syndrome. Those kids, those are their friends. Like that becomes their family, and they don't know any different. So as a team, we need to teach them to love everyone, or at least respect everyone, no matter what their differences are. And everyone has their own set of knowledge, so you need to celebrate that and work on that.
Talk about the challenges of inclusion.
It's never with the children, I will say that. It's always with the adults. And usually the problem is that not everyone's on the same page.
You're talking with the 4 adults?
With the 4 adults in the classroom.
Okay.
Because we like to joke in the building and say it's a marriage that you didn't get to pick your partner. You just get in there and everyone's thrown together and you have to make it work. And in making that work, you have to figure out, okay, well, what do you value, and how do you go about getting that? And so sometimes there are challenges where people don't value the same things or have the same ideas of what children are capable of. And then you have to take a step back and say, what is it that you're hoping to do because of this? What is it? What do you want? Because this is what I'm seeing. And so it takes a long time to learn how to have that dialogue without feeling attacked or judged. You have to say, because it's important to me. Ultimately, you're affecting these 18 children in the classroom. That's my ultimate. That's the only thing I care about. So if you're telling me you want to do this, then why? I always tell the other teachers in the building, if I'm going to ask a 3-year-old to defend his thought, because when we say, what's your idea, or what are you thinking, I'm going to expect a 35, 45-year-old woman to defend what it is that they're going to do in the classroom. I may not like it. But I do respect it enough to say, okay, we'll try it. We'll try it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And if it does work, oh, I didn't know that could work. I didn't know it was an option. And we move on. I've learned something new. The kids have learned something new, and everyone's happy.
Can you talk about how the students with special rights move from, say, your grade, first grade to second grade to third grade?
Well, when Gabby started with me, she had just come out of an MH classroom. So this was her first time in a full inclusion classroom, and so everything appeared to be trial and error. Luckily, her mom and I were able to talk and, come up with ideas and okay, we're going to try this, and the aide and everyone that was involved, okay, we're all trying this. And then we would see how it would work, and then we would switch, and I don't know. But it all worked out, and then we decided ultimately that she would split first and second. Since she didn't have a full inclusion kindergarten year, just the transition it was more difficult because the expectations were different.
So when you say she had come out of an MH, a
Multiple handicap room.
Unit, yes. We dissolved our unit a few years ago, and we phased all the children into inclusion classrooms.
Okay.
So they spent about half the year, because didn't she start half the year, like mid-year, going to kindergarten?
They did for like an hour or two. Yeah.
Okay. And then she went to you, Shelley.
Yes.
And did you use some of the same inclusive practices, or did you find that she was moving on?
She did a summer school.
She did extended services.
Extended services, yeah.
So she had a couple extra weeks in the summer to kind of establish some new routines. And then what we decided to do, she was with me most of the day. She did go back to a first grade classroom for centers, so she went back to a first grade classroom for about an hour.
And what was you thinking about moving her back
We were concerned that the length of time would be a little bit too much, and so we thought it would be good for her to have almost like a break. And so the centers were more like a break for her. So she went back to a first grade classroom to do that, but she was in my room, most of the day. But I was able, because I know there were some behavior issues in first grade, some aggression, standoffish behavior with peers, and she grew out of a lot of that, I think, last year. So I was able to phase out a lot of the behavior type of things as well. And like you said with the name, she came to second grade with a stamp, and she always got to stamp her name. I'm like, no, we're going to learn how to write the letters of your name. Now, she did not master writing her name by the end of second grade, but she was also learning how to and getting away from the stamp. So it was it's just like a gradual, starting to pull some of those things away and push a little bit harder. So.
And I'm happy to say she can write her name now.
Yeah, because in first grade she was still using the name puzzle and figuring out where to put the letters and things like that. And just to see where she is now.
Yeah, I don't have any aggression. I mean, she's kind of mopey some days, but not I don't really have any trouble. She, I know that she had like a picture schedule with you. She doesn't have that with me.
We had a choice schedule.
Yeah. So, I mean, she's become a lot more independent.
So when they go out in recess, will kids who have special rights interact with your
I remember Gabby at first. That was another concern that we had, was she wasn't communicating with the other children. She would rather be by herself doing her own thing rather than talking with her peers. So that was a goal that we had. And I know even the speech pathologist, one of the things she did was she brought Gabby and a group of children out with her to play games. and to get involved that way. But it's neat now to see her in the hallway walking and smiling to her peers and talking and hearing stories how she's talking, and
That's what I think is cool. Like, we talked about the typicals and how they interact with them. I mean, it's my typical kids that are always with Gabby, always. I mean, they just, they want to play with her.
Right.
It's not necessarily that she goes up to them, but a lot of times they go up to her and say, do you want to play, or, let's do this, or whatever. So I think that's really awesome to see that they're the ones like engaging her in the, play or whatever. And I think it helps that, she's been with these kids for as long as she has,
agree.
that, she knows them and they know her, and they know, they know she's funny.
Can you give an example of teaching about respect? I mean, it's such a big word.
It is a big word, and to tell other adults that, we teach them respect. And I said, when I make it a point to tell all of our families, we're a very touchy-feely, lovey classroom. You come in the classroom, we're going to hug you. In the middle of the day, we are hugging you. At the end of the day, we are hugging you. We're hugging everyone, and it doesn't matter. And I think it's also important that we let the children have a voice, because there's always an option. Now, mind you, those options are two things that I can live with, or any of the teachers can live with. But do you want to do this now, or do you want to do this later? Okay, I want to do it later. Okay, then that's your voice. I respect the fact that you don't want to do this right now. So when the children hear us modeling those ideas and that notion that, I do have an opinion, they in turn can talk to their friends and say, I don't want to do that right now, but if you wait, I will do it with you. Or I'm playing with this right now, but if you wait, I can give that to you. And of course, they're young, so there might be some hurt feelings and some tears. But again, you come over and say, well, I heard her say this, and I will help you be okay with that. And that's the basis of respect, knowing that everyone has an opinion, and just because it's different than your idea, it doesn't make it any less of an opinion or a thought. They both carry equal weight. We just have to work on how to make everyone happy.